I was amped. I was just ready to hit the ground running with my career. But as I adapted the Stetson'ds, they just adapted back to me. About 3 years ago, my father developed this growth on his abdomen. But luckily, he's been going to doctors for the past 40 years to get kind of precancerous growths removed. But the doctor was like, it's fine, don't worry about it. A year and a half later, it had gotten so big, he was like, I need to get a second opinion. The second doctor took a biopsy and saw that it was stage 4 T-cell lymphoma. My father didn't tell us that part, that it was stage 4. He also didn't tell us that 6 months later, his oncologist would tell him that he had a year to live. See, he didn't want to burden us. He didn't want us to lose hope. Until January 11th, 2011, when he called me. Mark, it's not going so well right now with me physically. It takes me a lot longer to get any work done, and I need you to come home and help me out with the taxes. So, if you don't mind, it'd be great to come home as soon as possible. He hadn't asked anyone for help the entire time of his treatment. His motto the whole time was, I can do anything! Which now I guess was, I can do something. Either way, this call wasn't good. So I came home the next day and saw that he was no longer able to sit at his desk. He wasn't able to sit anywhere, much less his bed, really. And his desk was this throne, this like place where he sat and managed this complex system of files and money management and our family finances and business. And now his accident-prone prince is supposed to come back and assume this position and learn everything in a matter of a month. Mark, just take over the chair. Cheers, thank you. Thanks. Now, Mark, why don't you walk over to the filing cabinet? Pull out a file, the first one on the top. Yep, perfect. There we go. Transition of knowledge. This is generally what happens when a company transfers all of its assets to another business or when a bank takes it over. In this case, it's going to be me transferring all my assets to you when I'm done. Now, hold on. Let me finish. Number 1, just get rid of my parking spot. I don't need it, it's just going to be more money. Second, you're going to sell my car. You're going to sell my car, and you're going to get your mother a bigger one. It'll help her in the wintertime. Her Mini can't handle. Third, and this is important, this you have to talk to your mother about because she doesn't want to be buried in the ground. Me personally, I don't give a shit about me around. But she wants to be in a mausoleum or cremated, whatever. Just find out from her, and that's where you should come meet. Because as far as I'm concerned, the most important thing to me is to be with you. Number 4. Son of a bitch tricked me. He wasn't inviting me home to work on taxes and menial house stuff. He was preparing me to take over, and I was preparing him to go. 2 things that are inevitable: death and taxes. And I had to deal with both. So, February 19th, my father got too sick to keep him at home, so that's the day he went to the hospital. Then April 5th, after he'd been in the hospital for about 3 months, he decided to stop treatment. Because he decided that since his fantasy of sitting at his desk again and doing work, that was his fantasy at the time, wasn't going to happen. This quality of life that he held as important wasn't going to be possible. The minute his integrity was compromised, he was done. So 9 days later, April 14th, I was home at my parents' kitchen with my whole family, sans Buster, of course, and I got this feeling in the pit of my stomach that it was the night. It was time, and I had said goodbye. So I hopped in the car and I drove over there, and I thought of 20 different things to tell him, ways to say goodbye, and I couldn't think of any good one. So until I get there, and I was like, well, I'm just going to have to do it organically. And I walked in, it was 11:45, and his breathing was already labored. And I sat down. Hey, Dad. Daddy-o. How you doing? Dad, I just want to tell you that it's okay. We're all going to be fine. Mom's going to be fine. Joe and Jay are fine. I'm I'm going to be fine. And all these medical bills that you're worried about, they're going to be taken care of by ARP and Medicare. It's fine. It's okay. I love you. So if you need me, I'm just we'll be right here, just hanging out. In this chair. That was the dumbest bedside speech. Oh my God, are you serious? Like, all that time, like, of the 20 speeches you had in the car, that's what you come up with? That's what you end with? It's cool, it's fine, I'll just be hanging out right here in this chair. It's cool. It's cool? Oh, you're a writer. Are you kidding me? Real good, Stetson. A few hours later, his breathing was even more labored and trying. He was on his way out. But it felt like he was stuck, that like he was there, but trying to get out of his mouth. And it wasn't, I tried to help him using like energy work that I learned in my travels. And at 3:55, he breathed his last breath. Or so I thought. Son of a bitch tricked me. It was like I was there, I was like ready, I was already crying, and he was like, oh, like he had the last word. Like, one more, I'll be in the car. But then at 3:57, April 15th, 2011, Phil Stetson passed. He made it to tax day. It was inevitable. As I collected all this stuff, I got a call from the funeral home saying that they're going to be 2.5 hours late, which was no good because Calvary has to move the body down their morgue after 2 hours. And it's a Jewish law that like you can't move the body until the correct prayer is said. So once again, I have to pull into my Jewish bag of tricks to help someone through the Stetson. So I went to my closet and grabbed his winter coat, the one that he was wearing when he first came in on February 19th. The last time he'd been home. The seasons had changed since he'd been home. Put the jacket on, and his scarf fell out. I was like, perfect, a tallis! A prayer shawl. Put it on. Put on his Chicago Bears hat as a yarmulke. And I looked up the prayer on an iPhone, because you can't do that. And I said the prayer. For the first time, I no longer felt his presence. And I left his empty vessel in room 219 at Calvary Hospital, feeling like I had helped my father through the Stetson'd of death. A lot of things went through my mind after my dad's death. A lot of anger, a lot of questions. But one thing that made itself clear to me for the first time was this idea of Stetson'd. This idea of Stetson'd being a failure, or because they're not failures. They're learning experiences. Really bizarre learning experiences. But the fact that humans know that the end of their life is death isn't a Stetson'd. It's when you try your whole life to prevent death that it becomes a Stetson'd. Like, at what point do you start living in the present? The moment before you die? That didn't happen in my case. I spent my whole life trying to figure out what was wrong with me, trying to eradicate these things called Stetson'ds. And I still haven't figured out why they happened, because why is the wrong question. It doesn't matter why. Because I kind of like them. Obviously, it gives me comedic fodder. But it also, in a bigger sense, it makes me aware of this bigger thing that gives me insight on my life. It shows me when I'm being an idiot. It shows me when I'm not being an idiot. But the biggest piece of insight that it gave me was after I spent my father's last few moments with him, I understood what it meant to live and die with pride and integrity. You know, to be proud of where I come from, to be proud of my last name being Stetson, and not this thing that exemplifies when things go awfully wrong. So now, since my father passed away, every time something significant happens or a Stetson happens, I find a dime close by. It's a much better reminder than a bird shitting on my head. So now when I get my panties all in a bunch about Stetson'd, I just think, where's the dime? Really? Oh, son of a bitch!